Hey, how's it going, Alyssa? This is looking great. Um, I think it's. I'm just gonna give you a lot of like tiny little polishing notes. Not even a lot. I'm just gonna give you like tiny polishing notes. So I think we're fine to start moving on to the next assignment. If you want to submit like a reference, maybe like 4 poses on top of the reference, or just getting your file set up and getting like ready to go on the next one. I think that's 100% appropriate. I think this is looking really strong. There's a couple things that like catch my eye that I'll talk about, but they're teeny polishing notes. So yeah, I love from the front view. It looks really solid. Like I don't have a lot to contribute here. Maybe I would say, you know, I'm catching like there may be some tiny little jitters that I can see in some of the spacing or arcs of the hands when they are by the body. Um, but you know, you know how it goes. You just got to kind of like track this stuff frame by frame and see where it's coming from, and then try to smooth it out when possible. So let's take a look, because I think it's somewhere in this area. Again, like my tiny marks are not the best way to track this stuff, but I feel like this is a small move as far as like the gap I'm seeing between here and here. And then it seems to grow in size, and then it shrinks down again. And then it kind of stalls a little bit. And then it jumps really big right there. So maybe that big jump is something I'm feeling, or maybe it's just some of the tiny, tiny spacing that I feel. But like, yeah, because I think I'm feeling it on the other side too. Like from here, it goes to here to out, and then it goes back in without a lot of like ease in, ease out to the extreme left most pose of it. And then yeah, it kind of stops abruptly, and so I would look at that area. I know maybe these are like FK arms, I'm assuming, and so you're picking up a lot of that movement from like what's going on with the rotation of the torso and stuff, because that's changing your shoulder and that's changing where these arms are positioned in space. So I would just do a pass on the hands and stuff just to track those arcs and some of that spacing. So I just pick up a couple jitters on my eye, but not a huge deal. Like I said, the head motion seems great. I'm really enjoying the ponytail animation there. One thing I might suggest, and this is something I have to fight against in my own work all the time, is on the feet, and the motion when you bring the feet forward feels a little even to me. So I'm not exactly sure what point of the foot is best to track, but it seems like maybe there could just be a little bit more, the spacing can be designed a little bit more, you know what I mean? Yeah, so some of this spacing feels like it could be considered a little bit, and just do a pass on that. That's a big one. That's a big jump. So I think now when I like trace it, it's probably easy to see what I mean. I love how tight together the poses are when the foot is coming to a rest here. Okay, so what I would suggest is to have more poses, like especially once you pick it up off the ground. Maybe you need to shift around the timing, so the heel's spending more time back here and a little less time here. So like when it moves forward, it's really moving. So like, now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 poses in the transition, and maybe that's not a bad number to have. But right now they're called kind of like this group of 4 is evenly spaced, and it's probably because of how I encourage you to work. I encourage you to work stepped and not really worry about the spacing of your feet and all that stuff yet, but now I think is when you want to pay attention to that and address that. So this feels like a chunk of 4 poses maybe, and that's another one. So I would just pay attention to this stuff, put more poses back here, maybe keep 8 here, but have them, you know, they're going to be spaced farther apart as they zip forward. And then, you know, like this spacing is pretty massive. So, but again, that's like when you get to the end of your shot and you're polishing up and stuff. That's when I pay attention to that stuff. But if I watch it play, it's funny because I don't feel that, like, I guess I can kind of see that massive jump forward, but what I feel more is just like a general evenness of it. I wonder what your reference was doing. Yeah, you probably spend fewer frames in transition, right? Because in transition is kind of like when your character is falling, you know, the most. It's like the most out of balance that your character is. So, yeah. And then, you know, I don't see anything that's necessarily like an issue or whatever, but as long as you're going through there and checking out your spacing, I would also, from the side view, you know, check out the spacing of how this fist or hand moves through space. Make sure it's not too even, make sure it's not too big, you know, because like there's a big jump between there, and then there's some unevenness happening here. So just that kind of eye to detail, that's like, it's really polishy stuff. But, you know, every frame's a painting, right? Gotta make, but otherwise, hey, you know, I'm being very nitpicky. This is looking great. It's looking really strong. I think, you know, you can hit those notes and show me again if you like, but I would encourage you to, you know, start making progress on your next plan, or, you know, start making a plan, a little bit of progress on your next shot, and we can talk about it and discuss. But great stuff, great work, and keep it up. Thank you.